We noticed a gap in the market for a product that we actually got made, and that was a waterproof screen for the awnings on a caravan. Got that made up and launched it just at the beginning of COVID.
Oh, okay.
The timing of it was shocking because now we have staff at a warehouse and overheads. We were stocked up, we had large bills, and then all of a sudden we just weren't getting any sales. Like it just stopped. So that period at the beginning was quite frightening.
Welcome to Getting to the Heart of Business, brought to you by The Online Co, where we believe the best way to help small and medium businesses grow is by putting people first. I'm James Parnwell, and as you've just heard in that clip, our guest today is an innovator who took a risk with a clever new product, got it all ready to launch, and then got hit by the COVID pandemic. She is Justine Lightowler from Campsmart, a family-owned online store specialising in camping and caravanning products. Joining me is marketing pro and co-host Jess Caluso. G'day, Jess.
Hi, James.
I'm wondering, Jess, I know you're a bit of a camper. Have you got any good or bad camping stories?
I've got a lot of good camping stories, and bad, I suppose. One of my favourite recent camping stories is 2019. My husband and I went down to Jindabyne. We go camping down in Jindabyne all winter long.
Right.
We're avid snowboarders, and we stayed at a campsite out at Dalgety, which is about half an hour outside of Jindabyne. We're very prepared for the cold, but we're not prepared for -9 degrees.
Okay, that's cold.
Yes, this was the absolute worst, coldest camping trip I had ever been on. We had ice on the inside of the tent when we woke up.
Wow.
It's probably the only camping trip I've actually ever wanted to just go and book a hotel room the next night. I mean, you and April and the kids are pretty avid campers as well. I'm sure you've got some good stories.
So we would set up probably a 12-man tent for the 6 of us and bring all of our gear, and we'd set up barbecues and tables and all these things. And then we'd put this massive tarp over the top. It was 9 metres by 7 metres.
Wow,
so it's
okay.
just enormous. And a pole and a rope and pegs along the whole way. So we had this fantastic outdoor area where we'd sit under and you'd have shade in the day. And
Sounds ideal on a beautiful sunny day.
Yeah, it was. But we were staying up at Shoal Bay one day. We got there around midday and it would take about 3.5 hours to set up. And we were like a well-oiled machine. All the kids had their jobs and April and I had our jobs. We'd all get out and we'd set it up. So at about 4 o'clock we were finished, something like that. And then we went off to dinner. And as we're going off to dinner, we saw off in the distance that there was some pretty spectacular lightning. And it was sort of as the sun was going down, it was like pink. It was pretty stunning. I got some footage of it. Well, within about 30 minutes, there were hailstones the size of golf balls falling as we're sitting at the pub.
This story is not going to get better, is it?
No. My son and I jumped in the car in the bucketing rain to drive back to see what was left of our campsite, and everything was black. There was blackout.
Oh gosh.
And we got back, our entire campsite was completely flattened, full of icy cold water.
Oh no.
And it was dark. Next to our site, we had some friends coming the following day. They'd actually planned to come that day, and they were going to stay on the campsite just on the opposite side of the little street, and a tree had fallen straight down the middle of it.
Oh, wow.
So I wouldn't be exaggerating to say that someone would either be severely injured or dead
Had they been there?
had they been
Wow.
there. So that was good. It was very good. We basically just tried to mop up the pieces, get any electronics things out of it. My son's computer was ruined, so we had to get that fixed. The place were wonderful. They gave us a place to stay that night, and we put the tent back up the following night, and then had to go and buy new tarps and buy all this new gear.
Wow, that is...
We haven't been camping since.
Yeah, I can
We
understand.
bought a caravan afterwards. Well, as you're about to hear, Justine's camping trip was much more successful than our last. It resulted in the birth of a whole new online brand selling hundreds of different products across Australia and overseas. I'll let her tell the rest of the story. Justine, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, James.
So you're not the first person we've interviewed who started a business while on maternity leave. Can you tell people how Campsmart began?
Yeah, sure. I was on maternity leave with my third child, and we decided to do a camper trailer trip. So we bought a camper trailer and we started buying products for it.
Yep. As you do, right?
Yeah, we started accessorising.
That's what happens, yeah.
And while we're in that research process, we noticed a few products that we thought were interesting and things that we purchased for our own use that we thought had potential to be sold wider, that perhaps weren't being marketed as well.
What was one of those things?
So one of them was an annex, which is like a room off the side of your camper trailer, and it was discontinued stock, and so they were just sort of trying to sell it off. So it was at a good price, but we bought one and we thought it was a good product as well.
So it wasn't being marketed very well?
No. I think the main reason being that they were just sort of getting rid of the stock.
Okay.
So it wasn't a focus to build it.
Right. They had a few left over.
Yeah, it was a discontinued line for that company. So we bought one and we took it away, and when we returned, I was coming towards the end of my maternity leave. So I wanted to extend it because I had 3 different drop-offs in 3 different locations for my children.
Right, so like a preschool,
a family daycare and school.
And school, yeah, wow. Yeah, the morning and the afternoon are busy.
Yeah, and I was struggling to get aftercare for the school, and it was just getting very difficult. So I thought another 6 months would just buy me a bit of time. The kids would be a bit older. I could maybe get 2 of them in the one place, things like that. So as a little bit of a sideline to extend our income, we got in contact with the guy that was selling the annexes and asked him if he would sell them to us.
So all the leftover stock you just wanted to take? Yep.
Yeah, so we bought his stock and we started selling them on eBay.
So you called him and negotiated a good price and...
Yeah.
Yep.
And that was great. We were selling them and making a little bit of money on the side. We were buying other products and selling them bits here, bits there, all on eBay. It was getting busier and busier. And then the guy that we bought the annexes from found more of their stock, and they wanted to sell the lot of it. And it was about the same time that I was offered a redundancy with my other job. So I used the redundancy and we bought all of the annexes, and then we were in business selling annexes.
There you go. So you say that very easily, right? Oh, no, we just bought all the annexes. There was an outlay there, right?
Yes, yeah.
A large outlay?
It was a risk. We needed the money. That's why we were selling things in the first place.
Yeah.
And we didn't know if we would be able to sell all these annexes if there was really a large enough market. We thought that there was, but it was a risk, yeah.
Yeah, so you had some experience selling them, but you're now taking it to another level.
Yeah. So I now had stashed everywhere, all over my house and in storage, about 250 annexes.
Okay, that's a few.
And so from that point, started to create a website, a business profile basically. Took it from just selling the odd annex here and there on eBay to making it into a larger business. I expanded the range. We thought of new products to add. Our website grew. We moved into a warehouse, got some staff.
Okay, so you're just growing steadily. You've got the 250 annexes, selling them through and thinking, well, what else could we sell?
Yep.
And growing from there. I mean, that's, taking that sort of risk, I don't know that everybody does that. Would you have considered yourself growing up the type who goes out on a limb to start a business?
I've always liked doing new things, travelling, taking on new challenges. I don't know that I ever thought I'd be in caravan sales.
Okay.
I was working in human resources, and it definitely wasn't part of my plan. Am I the sort of person that would start a business? I guess I am.
Well,
I did.
Obviously. What about your folks? Were they in business or?
No, my husband's parents were.
Yep.
They ran a few retail shops, clothing stores. So he had that exposure growing up.
So did you have people in your world saying, hey, you should do this, you should go for it? Or
no.
Were there people saying, don't do it?
No, and I think we didn't. It was kind of accidental. We thought we'd make a bit of money on the side and then I would go back to my normal job, and that would be that. But one thing led to another. Suddenly we were busy, we were making money. I was too busy to go back to my job and the opportunity arose to move further into it. I think we were very lucky. It was the right time in that industry.
Yep.
It was just sort of hitting a new growth cycle.
What was happening?
I think you'd had the global economic crisis. There'd been a bit of a slump in caravanning for a number of years.
Okay.
And it had just sort of started to pick up. And
So this is like 2013, 2012?
Yeah. Starting a business was becoming easier on the internet as well. It wasn't just large companies that could do it. You had things like Shopify and all sorts of platforms that made it accessible. So I think we were lucky in that regard.
So you've got a Shopify website?
No, I did at the beginning.
Yep.
I don't use Shopify anymore.
Yep.
But that was my first website.
And you set that up yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had to learn a lot about SEO on the way.
Yeah. You got any SEO tips?
Oh, I don't know where to start. It's hard work. It takes time,
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah, it's not an overnight thing.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
So in terms of your growth journey, you've basically gone from the point of saying, how can I replace my income in HR so that I can be around the kids a bit more and do all the drop-offs, and I want to have a career and I want to be a mum and I want to balance all those things, right? But then at some point you've had the opportunity to start hiring people.
Yeah, so it's one of those things I kind of laugh at. It was a bit of a lifestyle choice, starting the business, thinking we could do a bit of everything and have flexibility. But actually, in a way, the opposite was true. I ended up working more hours with less flexibility at the beginning, yeah.
And that was what brought on bringing on staff?
Yeah, just the growth, you start
Just
small.
can't do it all yourself anymore.
No. So we started with just one of the school mums helping me out in the warehouse.
So somebody you knew who needed a bit of work and you could trust?
Yeah.
It's a really great way to hire.
Yeah.
Yeah, particularly your first one, because if you go and hire the wrong person first time, it can be
definitely.
It could be bad news. Now, your husband at some point came and joined you.
Yeah, about 2013, 14, we kind of made the decision that it was big enough that he came and started working full time. And that was quite scary because we had all our eggs in one basket.
Yeah, okay.
then.
So my wife and I work in the business together as well. Yeah. And it's great, but people say to us, how do you manage that? Why haven't you killed each other yet? How do you guys make that work?
For us, we're really lucky in that we both have completely different interests in the business and strengths. So we're both happy to let the other one do their thing, and so we don't step on each other's toes very much. Yeah, we've got very kind of defined areas.
So that's what almost the exact words April uses. She says, we have clearly defined roles. I do my thing, she does hers, and then we're fine. Like any other business, you would have a job description and you'd know what it is you're meant to do. Just the fact that you're married doesn't mean you don't need a job description. Yeah. And you're from HR, so you know that better than anyone else. Now, you started developing your own products at some point.
Yeah, we did. We noticed a gap in the market for a product that we actually got made by someone for our own use. And that was like a waterproof screen for the awnings on a caravan. There were a lot of sunscreens and we were selling a lot of those, but we wanted a simple, lightweight solution that you didn't have to put up a full annex. If there's a bit of rain, you could just put that up. And there just wasn't anything. So we got that made up and launched it just at the beginning of COVID.
Okay.
Yeah.
Social media is easy, right? It just takes 5 minutes, sit down, compose a post, send it live. The problem is you've got to do that tomorrow and then the day after and then the day after that. And when you're in business, you've got a lot of other priorities, like providing the product or service, and social media goes by the by. It comes down basically to, do I have enough time to post to social media? So this is where we can help you. We can come up with the schedules, make it interesting, make it varied, work with the algorithm, and using our playbook process, we can really target the exact customer that you need. why don't you send us a message on social media? Just do a search for Getting to the Heart of Business Community on Facebook. We'd love to have a chat with you. So, because you are your own customer, so to speak, you were part of your target market, you really get them.
Yeah.
And that means...
Sorry.
There's a bunny on the podcast. We've never had that before, so if you can hear that scratching in the background, welcome to Bun Bun, the giant Flemish. That's right, giant Flemish bunny. Claire, you can leave that in or edit that out. It's up to you. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, you're your own customer.
Yeah.
So then you're out there parked somewhere going, oh gee, it'd be helpful if we could have this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then because you were in the industry, you kind of knew who you could contact and get to make something up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then decided, well, why don't we make 100 and sell them?
Yes.
That's an interesting another step, right? That's a sort of step into creativity.
Yeah. And it's gone really well.
Yeah. Well, and it would, because no one else has them, right? And then other people start copying you.
We're waiting for that. That's
hasn't
inevitable.
happened yet?
Not yet, but it will. I'm very certain.
Don't tell anyone. So how did COVID impact you guys?
Well, the timing of it was quite shocking because now we have quite a number of staff and overheads, and we were coming out of the summer camping period, so we had a lot of huge bills at around the time the lockdown hit, and we were also, that's the time when we would normally have a massive boost for Easter.
Okay.
So we were stocked up, we had large bills, and then all of a sudden we weren't getting any sales. Like it just stopped. So that period at the beginning was quite frightening because nobody knew, I suppose, what would happen next.
We had a caravan trip booked for last April at Easter, and we cancelled because we had to. We weren't allowed to. So you copped the brunt of that. So how did you make your way through that?
We locked down our expenses fast, cut anything unnecessary from the budget, had to reduce hours and just try and navigate through. We tried to turn it around in our marketing because what we realised was there was a lot of really bored people at home. So we started a lot of, increased our Facebook advertising for things like projects, home-based projects that you could do to your van and improve it,
tinker
and
with
things
it,
like that. And then, of course, as things have progressed with the travel bans and everything, it's actually been quite good for our industry.
Right, because there's a massive tourist budget that's usually spent overseas in Paris or New York or somewhere, and now it's been spent on the Central Coast in a tent. Yeah. So has business boomed now?
Yes, it has. It definitely has. The whole caravanning industry has experienced a large boom.
So I've heard a rumour that you basically can't get a caravan at the moment. If you order one, they're months and months and months away.
Yeah, they're like 12 months in production at the moment. Yeah.
What a turnaround. So I guess people have bought cheap camping equipment before and used it twice and then it's broken and they've got to chuck it out. How have you guys gone around looking after your quality control and making sure things last and people come back and buy from you again?
So we make sure that the product is quality to start with.
Does that mean lots of personal testing?
Yes, it does. We take
what a shame.
But then we warrant things straight away if there's a problem.
Yep.
You have to have buyer confidence and word of mouth, and we've got quite a good reputation in our industry amongst the forums and things.
Yeah.
Caravanners chat a lot.
Yes.
So it's important.
Yeah, so you can get a good reputation, but you can get a bad one too.
Exactly, yeah.
So what does your marketing look like? You mentioned Facebook ads and SEO. You mentioned a few digital tactics that you use.
So we don't do any print advertising. We only do digital. And we just do the main platforms. So Google Shopping, obviously email, Facebook, Instagram. They would be the main avenues.
Yeah, as well as SEO, so organic traffic.
Yeah.
Do you do that yourself or you have team members doing that? Or
I've always done most of it, and just this last year I've got some help with Facebook ads.
So if somebody's starting an e-commerce business, what advice would you give them around marketing?
Just learn it. No.
Well, I actually think that's really good advice, because I think possibly people go out and pay someone to do it and they don't know if that person's a good quality provider or a bad quality provider.
Yeah.
And if you don't understand it, it's like when I get my car repaired, I don't know if they've done a good job or not. I see a bill, and my car looks the same.
It's very true.
I hope they've opened the bonnet, but they might not have.
Yeah.
And digital marketing can be the same. So you need a little bit of an understanding. So you're talking to your provider and making sense. But I would say that people starting out should probably have a crack themselves. Like right at the start, if it's just you, do yourself.
Yeah, you'll learn.
You'll get to a basic or intermediate level before you need to pass it on to someone who's at an advanced level.
Yeah. For me now, it's more about time than anything else. I'm just running out of time.
Yes. So there's two problems that small business have and medium business. One is expertise. I don't know how to do this. And the other one is time. I know how to do it. I just can't get around to doing it. Do you plan to expand your product range or expand to becoming a wholesaler and selling into the BCFs of the world?
We get quite a lot of inquiries at the moment from other businesses. It will be something we'll look at in the future. At the moment, just in this current environment, just stock in general is a really tricky thing.
So you're out of stock quite a bit at the moment?
Yeah, all caravan equipment. It's just very difficult to get our own stock, to get stock from other suppliers. Obviously, the boom is a huge thing. There's just like an increase in demand that is beyond other people's expectations.
Yeah.
So the stock isn't there. Europe is also experiencing a boom, and where we normally...
For the same reasons, right? Yeah.
And we're normally seasonal opposites, and it's not a problem with manufacturing because they're off-season, they're manufacturing for us and vice versa.
Yeah.
But obviously that's all gone through the window. And just getting things made, it's very tricky at the moment, getting things delivered. Yeah.
All right, so you're a mum who's grown a business while raising kids. And it's always a juggle. How do you manage that?
On the fly? I guess I just do the best I can with everything. And I don't aim to be perfect at anything.
Well, that's a good piece of advice, yeah. So what about the process of going from being a solopreneur, just you, to hiring people and then having to develop as a leader? What's that process looked like?
It's been a journey. I think one of the things you've always got to ask yourself is, do I need to be doing this, or can someone else do this? As you grow and you get busier, you've got to let go of things and you've got to put the systems in place.
Yeah.
I think that goes for my business and my kids. That's probably been the main thing that I have to challenge myself on. Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon there's some really good similarities between running a team and parenting children. Training and releasing and holding accountable, all those sorts of things are true in both circles. What part of the business are you most passionate about? Do you enjoy the most?
The customers, getting their great feedback.
Yeah, lovely.
It's really rewarding, and hearing them talk about us. Obviously, I follow all the forums and things, so that I love that. But in terms of the business operations, I love streamlining and customising and improving and creating efficiencies. Yeah, that would definitely be the thing I enjoy the most.
Okay.
Is watching it grow in the most efficient way possible.
Is that a throwback to your HR skills, do you think?
Yeah, maybe from some frustrations and things before. I'm a very impatient person, and I don't like being bogged down in process. So it's got to be quick, efficient, which makes it more cost effective as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of wins there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Because your business keeps moving forward, but you're saving money at the same time.
Yeah.
And what's your vision for the business into the future?
We're going to keep growing in our niche, which is sort of, we specialise in a lot of awning and annex accessories and equipment. We've got new product ideas and things for development. But in terms of the business itself, it's getting to the next step where we don't have to physically be in the business, where we've got enough staffing that we can focus on the development without being physically present.
Yeah,
that will be the next big step.
Yeah, wonderful. So you're moving from managing people to managing managers at that point.
Yes, yeah.
Which is very exciting, and it's interesting because it's almost another skill set again.
Yeah.
So you got to learn a different bunch of things, a different way of thinking. It's very exciting.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for your wisdom and insight and sharing your story with us. It's been great having you on the podcast. That was Justine Lightowler from Campsmart, and you can find out more at campsmart.net.au. And if you're a camping buff, be prepared. There's a lot of great stuff. You could be there for hours. So Jess, what advice would you give to someone who's starting an e-commerce store?
Well, the advice is take advantage of digital marketing for sure, as an overarching statement. But if we look a bit more deeply into that, you've got to look at social media, definitely. Yep. So e-commerce and social media sort of work, they're beautiful partners. They're like peas and carrots, two peas in a pod. So first of all, just start posting things. Start posting a mix of content and start to get an idea of what works and what doesn't work. Try some Facebook ads. Go in and have a look. Figure out how does Facebook Business Manager work. Test out a few different things. But probably the key takeaway from all of that is start collecting data. Collect people's data and information. Start to build your email list.
Yep, so you can talk to them ongoingly.
So then you can continue to talk to them. So not only are you using social media to market to new and potential customers, but once you've got them as a customer, and particularly for e-commerce businesses, we want people to come back and be purchasing again and again from you, and email is the way to do that. There's other ways as well. I mean, like Google Ads is another option.
Yeah, Google Ads and SEO are very important. There's this saying, and I know we've talked about it before, if you build it, they will come. And it's complete nonsense. Yeah. People often build e-commerce sites, put it on the internet, and it's crickets. So you really need to be promoting what you're doing, because people won't just find you.
That's right.
Millions of websites out there. There's probably hundreds of thousands of camping websites. So you've got to really make some effort. So with Google Ads, there's this specific type of Google Ads called shopping ads. And so you can promote your exact products straight into the search results. So an example would be women's running shoes. If you type that in, you'd see a whole list of running shoes at the top and their price, and you can click straight over and go into those stores. So with all the camping products, they would all be there as well. And with your SEO, you're going to be competing with all sorts of businesses like BCF and all the big guys. So you just need to make sure that you're creating some really user-friendly pages that have got really helpful information. And ultimately, if you think like the customer and you put the customer first, and you provide the information they need, Google's going to figure out that your page is terrific, and it's going to start putting it on the front page. That's what the SEO process boils down to. There's a whole technical side to that around making your website load fast and those sorts of things. There's a whole keyword side to make sure that you're targeting the keywords that people are actually putting in. But that's what it's going to boil down to for SEO. So Google Ads will get you traffic quickly. SEO will get you traffic a bit more slowly, but it'll be free ongoing traffic once you've managed to get it ranking. This episode of Getting to the Heart of Business was brought to you by The Online Co, produced by Claire Bruce, music by Harry Parnwell, and you can find us at theonlineco.net. We'd love you to come and join the conversation in our Facebook group, subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review.